Hello, everyone, and welcome back. Welcome to Here Be Dragons, and happy Mother's Day to all the mothers out there. And happy Mother's Day to my mother right there. Say hi, Mom. Everybody here probably knows who you are already, but it wouldn't hurt to say hi to the people.
Hi, everyone. I had my mask on to remind you to be careful.
Yup. Now is a good time to remind everyone of that. So I don't even know if I've seen you all day today. We live together, but I don't know if I actually told you Happy Mother's Day, Mom.
Okay, thank you very much, son.
I did bake you a cake, however.
Yes, you did, but it was actually Neil's birthday cake. Very late.
But that's okay. We enjoyed chocolate cake today, and it was good.
Yes, we did.
So I do want to take the chance to say hi to everybody who showed up for this kind of special edition of I Know That Nerd. Generally speaking, I Know That Nerd is about talking to content creators in the nerd space and getting to know them a little bit better. But if you consider me content, she's my content creator. So, but I did want to say hi to everybody that showed up to say hi to you, Mom. I see Peter Griffin, Emilio Camacho Iris. I think Emilio's channel might be the first channel I ever did a guest spot on.
So thank you, Emilio.
That was a long time ago. I see Apparently Human, also known as Kat. She does her own, she has her own channel. She does interesting stuff over there. Plays games with her chat friends, looks at stuff under a microscope. It's got some interesting stuff over there. I see good buddy John Webster, Danny McKay, Maud Mary 1, Eugene Lopez. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Hey, Huge, how you doing? Nessie's here. Did I miss anybody? I hope I didn't miss anybody. I see Wheezy Squeezebox, Lady Starfall, Lady Leaf, Kate Bertinsky. A lot of the regulars here, and a couple of people who I know, but that don't normally show up to this. But I'm glad you're here because I've done a lot of I Know That Nerd, but I don't think I know any nerd as well as I know that nerd right
there. This apple didn't fall far from the tree.
That is true. So, and everybody in the chat, feel free to ask questions. I mean, yeah, it's my mom, so you better be nice to her. I see somebody said Courtney Mazza, and I didn't see your name, Courtney, but Courtney, good friend of mine. I also see Amy Landtrip. Everybody, thanks for coming. Yeah, this is my mom, and you know her from the chat. If you show up on the regular, she's in the chat section almost every week, even during football season.
But I'm watching the football game if it's the Cowboys.
Yep. That's true. We have missed you a couple of times because of the Cowboys were playing, but that's all right. Well, I guess that'll. But I want to start with this. When did you? What was the thing that made you realize you were a nerd?
Well, back in grade school, even I was very serious about my academics. Mainly, I wanted to please my parents, although I did have a little bit of a wild streak, not horrendous, but, I was a human. So I was kind of nerdy in that I made straight A's through the 8th grade. And I like to tell people that once I started high school in the 9th grade, I didn't make straight A's anymore. I made mostly A's and a few B's because I started majoring in boys.
Right. Well, boys starts with B, so it makes sense to me.
Right. Well, boys were more of my focus than academics, although I still was concerned about academics, but there was this hormone factor going on there.
Yep. You're getting a lot of happy Mother's Day wishes, Mom, but I did want to address Maud Mary 1's question. Are you of the Arkansas Mitchells? Mitchell was her mother's maiden name.
There might be some Mitchells in Arkansas because I had some cousins, I can't remember how many times removed, but their last name was Marr, but there might be a Mitchell or two in there. The Mitchells originally came through before the Revolutionary War into Massachusetts and then on to Missouri and then on to Texas. And I'm a Texas Mitchell at this time.
Yeah. Both of my parents are Texas born and raised. But yeah, so I'm going to ask the same question again, but I'm going to exclude like schoolwork in that. So I guess my question is, what was the nerd culture thing or the pop culture thing that got you into loving that type of genre storytelling?
I would say it's comic books because we read Superman, Batman, and it was really cool when Spider-Man came along because I was a teenager at that time. So it was something that as a teenager we could really relate to. I have learned as I've grown older that all boys and girls go through a time where they think nobody likes me, everybody hates me, I'm stupid and ugly, and I ought to just die. And fortunately, we don't all commit suicide, but that's a normal, not abnormal thing that youth go through. And
Mm.
I'm speaking to that because I worked 10 years at a high school and I saw a lot of that. So, teenagers, even though they can drive us crazy, they need a lot of love and encouragement as they begin to find out who they are.
Yeah. And speaking as somebody who experienced that from you firsthand as a teenager, I mean, we won't talk about the hell that was my teenage years. I'm sure it wasn't easy for you, but I also, looking back, am very aware that you were very supportive of the things that I was interested in at the very least.
Yes, because I had to allow you to be you.
Yeah.
That's something that all parents have to learn. As long as you're not committing crimes or hurting other people, that person needs to be the person who they are.
Yeah. Well, and I've since passed that on to my kids the best I can.
Right.
So Spider-Man was a big influence on you then.
Yes, he was until again, when once you have a steady boyfriend who has a car, you don't hang around the house that much.
Yeah. It happened to me too.
Yes.
But okay, so Spider-Man being a thing for you, do you have a preferred actor who plays Spider-Man? Do you like he's my Spider-Man?
Well, I really like what's the new Spider-Man's name? Tom Holland.
Yeah.
I really like his portrayal. Although the previous Spider-Man, Tobey Maguire, he was excellent as well. But Tom Holland, to me, is a little more realistic as a true teenager who's still trying to find himself.
Yeah, I love it. Have you not seen the ones with Andrew Garfield as Spider-Man?
No, I haven't. I guess so. I really like Tom Holland. I guess I haven't seen the ones with Andrew Garfield. So, but I would still say Tom Holland. He just
Most people would tell you that those are the worst Spider-Man movies.
okay.
No hate for anybody who thinks they're the best. I'm just going off of like statistics here.
Right.
But like when I think about you as a nerd, it's not Spider-Man that comes to my mind.
Well, that would have been like through high school.
Right.
But then my nerdship began right after I graduated high school in 1969. I started working with technology, and a lot of technology was in its infancy at that time. And I worked for a company in Dallas called American Cyanamid. Their home office was in Wayne, New Jersey, and we were a distribution warehouse for their 900 divisions. So at the end of every day, we literally took a telephone, put it in a thing called a modem, connected to Wayne, New Jersey, the home office, and uploaded our data regarding our warehouse. And at that time, on a Selectric typewriter, I could type accurately 120 words a minute. So they had me do a lot of the data entry. And from there, I studied accounting in high school and college. And from there, just continued on with technology until I retired as a land manager. And I'm going to stop, let Willow in because she's whining at the door.
Okay. I'm sure y'all have all heard me talk about the dog before.
Come on.
This is the neurotic mess dog that, I mean, I love her, but God, she's needy.
Yes, she is. When I sleep at night, she has to be touching me. So, Nessie, I did like Into the Spider-Verse. It wasn't absolutely my favorite thing, but I did enjoy it.
I loved that movie.
Yeah, I remember you saying that it was really special to you, and
Yeah.
I did watch it. But the thing that caught my attention is that Spider-Man was about my age, very near my age when he came out. So I related to that quite easily.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what attracts a lot of people to Spider-Man, because I mean, I don't have any sort of empirical evidence in front of me right now, but it seems to me like I've heard he is if you poll people, Spider-Man is the Marvel hero that is sort of most well-loved. And I think that's probably because a lot of people come to it at that age and are able to identify with the character of that same age. Just like Amy here just said, she's more of an X-Men fan herself. X-Men came along. I mean, there have been multiple iterations. I think the first one was 1963 or something like that. But like the school age ones came along later, and
right. I was already an adult by the time the school age ones came in.
Yeah.
So not that I didn't enjoy X-Men, and I've really enjoyed the X-Men movies. Although they're not in the MCU, they still are entertaining movies that I have loved to watch.
Yeah. I'm with you. So I liked some better than others, obviously, but yeah.
Yeah, in that group, I think Nightcrawler is probably my favorite. I just really enjoyed his portrayal. I can't think of the actor's name right now, but
I bet John Webster could tell you.
I bet he could. And it's not Keira Knightley.
Yeah, it's not. I'm pretty sure. But Leaf says that they're wrapping up over at History of Westeros, which means some people might start appearing over here.
That's fine. We'll be happy to have as many as want to come over. I'm kind of Alan Cummings I see the name, Alan Cummings.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed his work in other things as well, but I just thought he did an excellent job with Nightcrawler, because that Nightcrawler was a very sympathetic character.
Mm-hmm.
And you were supposed to feel that for him, and his portrayal really made you feel that for him.
I'm sorry. They're making me laugh about this 90. There's a 90s X-Men cartoon. I'm sure you didn't watch it, Mom, but
probably not.
Yeah,
I was busy working, earning money to feed 3 teenage sons.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah, I do have a younger brother. You've all met him if you've been to the Picard streams. If not, you haven't met him, but Neil, my little brother. I also have an older brother called Scott. He does his own thing. I'll go ahead and let you answer this, Mom. Kelly is seeing your crosses in the back.
Yes, I am not Catholic. I belong to the United Methodist Church, which is somewhat progressive. Our theory is the grace of God is what we lean upon, and that grace is open to all. And our job as Christians is to love everyone. And we don't care if you're LGBTQ or whatever letter of the alphabet you want to identify with. We're going to try to love you as much as you will allow us, because some people aren't very lovable, but we're going to try, and we're going to accept you.
Right. I see. It was the love of Nightcrawler that got her asking. Because Nightcrawler is Catholic.
Yes, he was. Yes, he was. And some Protestants don't think Catholics are Christians, but I do. I think Christianity is a relationship with Jesus and not what church you worship him in.
Cool. I mean, I think everybody or most of y'all know I'm not particularly religious, but when I think about what I think a Christian should be, that's the image that comes into my head right there.
Oh. And that's a pleasant thing to hear, but it's also a tough act to live up to.
Yeah, no kidding.
So, and you live with me, so you see the real me.
Yep.
But I try to take that real me that wherever I go.
Yep. Which is why everybody who sees you week in, week out in the chat, they all love you because you're just you.
Yep.
All right. Well, I'm going to steer the question back to something nerdy, or the conversation back to something nerdy.
Okay. Because that's what we're about today.
I mean, I know that, nerd. I mean, we'll talk about whatever you or anybody else wants to talk about, but when I'm asking questions, I ask questions about nerdy topics. So Spider-Man kind of was like the first nerdy thing you were into, or comic books, and by extension, Spider-Man maybe more so.
Well, and back in my day, you were a nerd if you were bookie. So, if you were making straight A's and on the honor roll, yada, yada, yada.
So I'm just going to put Nessie's little question up here.
Definitely Star Trek.
Yes, this is the one I've been trying to steer you towards since the beginning.
Okay, that's okay. Again, that came a little bit later.
All right.
And because I was in my later teens when Star Trek started. But for me, growing up in Texas, I can remember signs saying whites only at drinking fountains or restrooms. Not a lot, but some. And I never went to school with anyone that was not white Anglo-Saxon Protestant, because I went to a small country school in Texas near Tyler. It was called Chapel Hill. And so I never went to school with a black person or Hispanic or anything but WASP until we moved to Irving, Texas, which is a suburb of Dallas. And we started having some black students. And even before that, even as a young kid, I could look at people of different skin color and realize that they were just people. So when Star Trek came along, we were accepting black people, Asian people, Russians, because the Cold War was going on at that time. So it was a loving and accepting place. And it's how I wish the world could be in the late 60s. And I still wish the world could be that way, because unfortunately, being shot because you're black still happens, or maybe Hispanic, or not up to whatever some idiot thinks you should be. still happens today. I wish that was gone. I wish it was gone away, but we can't stick our head in the sand and say that's fixed, because it's not.
Right.
And we just need to love all people of all faiths, of all ethnicities. I don't like to say race, because there's one race, the human race. And we need to love them to the best of our ability. Again, sometimes people aren't very lovable, but you usually get what you send out, you get it back.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in that myself. I mean, obviously, I'm on here every week, so like most people have some idea of who I am. Of course, if all you know of me is what you see here for 2 hours every week, of course I can fool you. But there's a lot of people who are here who I continue to interact with in other ways, be it Twitter or Facebook Messenger, what have you. They know who I am, and they know the way that I treat people. Well, a lot of that comes from mom. A lot of that comes from mom. Dad's not the same as mom for me. Not even close. I mean,
even if he's the one who got you the last name Stark.
Right. That's. I mean, and I'm not trying to say my dad never did anything good for me, or that he's a terrible human being, because that's not.
Right, because he's not.
That's not accurate. But he and I are not close. But mom and I are very, very close.
Because your dad has a box that he wants you to fit in.
Right.
And you don't. So
I really don't. I don't play sports or drink beer all the time. Anyway, digress.
But he does love you.
He does. And I love him.
Right.
But we're not close. Like,
and I'm trying.
Nice. But actually, I would say that our relationship is much more like a friendship.
Yes, it is. You are one of my best friends.
Yeah.
And vice versa. Not that I don't have other good friends, because I do, but you're my best friend.
Right.
Or one of my best.
Well, how many 45-year-old men do you know that would be like, you got to meet my mom, she's so cool?
I don't know.
But like,
I know a lot of my friends are like, your son wants to go to the movie with you? And I'm like, yes. Part of that is because I will go see the movies that you want to see. But the other side of that is, if it's Mother's Day or my birthday, and I say, I want you to take me to see a movie that you really don't want to see, you will go.
Yes.
So we'll kneel.
Yep. So will I.
Scott, since he lives so far, I won't say he doesn't count, but it's different, because we see each other once a year at the maximum.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you brought up the movies. I got a DM from Danny McKay earlier today, and he said he's looking forward to the stream tonight. I too enjoy going to the movies with my mom. Ours was the Bourne series. What is a movie night out for you and Betsy? Okay. So there are two types of movies that basically we've gone and watched them all together
in the theater.
In the theater, and that would be like the MCU.
Yes.
The first one that I know that we all three went together to see was the first Avengers movie.
Yes. But we also, if we go back, we saw in the theater together, when y'all were children, all the original Star Wars trilogy.
Well, and we still go see a bunch of Star Wars movies together.
Yes, we do.
Like, okay, when Solo came out during Con of Thrones weekend here in Dallas. And there were a whole bunch of folks who were in town that weekend. And we all went together. I know Aziz and Ashaya were there. Val because Geek was there. That's all. I mean, it's been 2 years, y'all, so I don't exactly remember who all was there. But Mom was there.
Yep, I was. And it was like 23 regular tickets and one senior. So I saved them a little tiny bit of money.
Right. And there's a picture somewhere of you sitting in the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon or something like that.
Well, I'm standing there just outside the Millennium Falcon with Chewbacca and Han Solo, the young Han Solo.
Right. But yeah, so what's a movie night out look like for us? It's going to be superheroes or space superheroes with laser swords. And
we went together to see Avatar also. Not the Airbender, but the Avatar with the blue cat people.
Blue cat people out there, yeah. Yeah.
Hey, they're people. They're
sentient beings, for sure.
That's right.
Kelly, I'm sorry. Next time you're in Dallas, though, let me know. But yes,
yeah,
I was wearing armor with quilted gambeson in that Texas July heat, so I'm right there with you. I was dying too. So I'm going to steer back to Star Trek for just a moment.
Sure.
Because I did not appreciate the original series when I was younger. I didn't. It was hokey and the effects were bad. I was a Star Wars kid. And let's face it, a television show from the 60s is not going to live up to the groundbreaking special effects of a theatrical release from a decade later.
Correct.
But
and Star Wars set a brand new precedent.
Yes.
For special effects. And it lives up to it pretty much till today.
An 8-year-old me didn't realize how significant a Japanese and a Russian and a black lady, all bridge officers working together.
Right. And an alien.
That went completely over my head.
Sure it did. You were a child.
Right.
And you went to school with all different ethnicities from kindergarten on. Yes. But you also knew that whatever friends you had in school were welcome at our house. As long as they behaved, we weren't going to let them come over and just tear things up. But
yeah, some of my best friends were like my best friend through much of high school. Albert Chu, I guess I will say.
Yes.
He's a Chinese guy.
Yes.
And never so my parents divorced. Y'all divorced when I was pretty young. I think I want to say 6.
That sounds right, because you were in the 1st grade.
When you separated.
Yes.
And so really the bulk of my memories come from a time when my parents were not together.
Right.
And I was mostly raised by you up until high school, and then I kind of did bouncing back and forth. But I remember there being a point in the 3rd grade where somebody used a word that I will not repeat that was derogatory towards people of color.
Right.
And I don't know if you remember this, but I remember asking you what it meant and not understanding how that could be a thing that people cared about. You know what I mean?
Right.
So despite not understanding Star Trek and how sort of groundbreaking it was for its day and age, I think the fact that you understood it and passed it on to us as kids made a huge difference.
Well, I just was determined that y'all were not going to get infected with bigotry.
Right.
Because most humans get infected with that through their parents.
Yeah.
And it worked. I don't think any of y'all have bigotry against anyone or anything. Maybe your oldest brother a little bit, a few things, but
maybe he's got some antiquated ideas about certain things.
right. But he's still not like evil. He's going to go out and
No.
shoot someone just because they're not his color, you know.
Well, I don't. I think with him, it's less about color and more about certain other aspects of your,
Right.
whatever lifestyle you're living.
Right. Like I said, whatever letter you are, I love you.
Right. Right. Be you LGBTQ plus or cishet like myself. Mom.
And yeah.
Have you watched every Star Trek ever?
Yes, I have. I've seen every episode of every TV show. Now, I say that I may have not seen any of the animated. If there's animated, I may not have seen that, but everything live action. I've seen every episode of TNG, DS9,
every movie,
and all of the movies, Voyager. If the original series will always have a special place in my heart because it was groundbreaking from a cultural sense.
right?
But DS9 is my favorite.
I've heard that a lot of people will say DS9 is their favorite or the best or whatever, and like it's the one I've probably seen the least of.
Well, you need to fix that sometime.
I'm with you. It's at the top of my Star Trek to-do list anyway.
Right.
But y'all do realize I got a long list.
Right. In your spare time.
I will. Yeah. Spare time. I'll tell you what. Anybody out there who thinks I have spare time, you start a YouTube channel where you talk about a different nerdy subject every week and tell me how much time you've got. Yeah. Anyway,
well, this week is easy because you and I just chat about things all the time.
All the time.
We both like scientific things. We both like historical things.
Mm-hmm.
That's some of that book nerd coming back from earlier on.
Oh my gosh, Eugene brings up Buck Rogers. That was something I watched as a little kid, and I'm sorry, buddy, but I don't think it's a very good show. You might have liked. Okay, you're not saying it was good. You're saying you liked it. That I can agree with. Oh, Nessie, you want to watch DS9 together? That would be cool.
Yes.
Dan, aka Voice of Reason, asks, "Have you ever been to a Star Trek convention before?"
I have not, because I have 4 children, 3 sons and a daughter, and their years growing up, that's expensive. So I just never really got into it. And then by the time I maybe could have afforded to go, I was a single parent. And so I never have been to any conventions other than the Con of Thrones here in Dallas. And I'm not going to try to sell y'all on the fact that I'm into of Game of Thrones the way you guys are, but I've read the books, I've seen all the TV shows. I haven't read any of the peripheral books or stories or tales, but I do enjoy it. And I've enjoyed some of the things that Stephen has with maps and things like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I've got the maps right here.
Right. But I don't have it. I don't pick it apart the way you guys do, which, hey, y'all are into that. That's great. I love that you have people online that you can reach out to and enjoy intelligent discussions, because you can't be stupid and keep up with all that. And I'm not stupid, but I'm just old enough that it's more than I can keep up with.
Newt Rock, I assume you have the World of Ice and Fire, but not the Lands of Ice and Fire. Is that correct? Because you're like, I have that book, but not that book. This is not a book. This is literally just a case that holds something like, 12 maps in here of different all over Westeros. It's high quality. And I'm kind of a maps person. Here Be Dragons refers to what they wrote on the edge of a map when you didn't know where it was going, when you didn't know what was out there. I made maps for a living for about 13 years as a land surveyor. So yeah, I'm a maps guy. And my brother got me that for Christmas or my birthday a couple years ago. So yeah, and you're right, Kelly. It is totally worth the money. I didn't pay for it, so for me especially so. But I would have bought it myself if it hadn't been given to me as a gift.
And I see somebody talking about Have the Precious, and we also went to see Lord of the Rings movies together.
Did we?
Yes, we did. I'm pretty sure we did. Or I went with Neil. So
I think it was Neil because I may have been in Colorado at that time.
Okay, that might be true. But I had some sun hanging on my arm.
Right.
And I can't remember if I've seen all the Harry Potters in the movie theater, but I've seen all the movies. I have never read the books. Unfortunately, I have eyesight problems now, so I don't read like I used to. I know one time when my daughter was in maybe second grade, I was reading a book about history, and she asked me, "Why do you have to read that?" And I said, "I don't have to read this. I'm enjoying reading this." And she's like, "Are you crazy?" But she eventually became a book person. But when in second grade, her book reading was being forced to for school.
Right.
So
yeah, I don't do a lot of reading for entertainment either. It's the come on, brain, dyslexia that holds me back a little bit.
Yes.
But I do watch a lot of videos that are educational, or and they'll cover history or science or whatever.
Yep, me too.
People are asking if you've tried audiobooks.
I really don't like audiobooks because I'm not an auditory learner. I learn best through visual and muscle memory. Even if the muscle memory is typing on a keyboard, that's what works for me. So, like, we played one of the things I always ask for Mother's Day and my birthday, and some other times we do this, we get together and play table games. And today we played Smart World, and then Small World, and then another game called Mexican Train, which is not near as strategic, but fun.
Yep, it's fun
and
though.
That's what we do for holidays. We have a meal together and we play table games and visit while we play table games. So it's something we all enjoy. Occasionally we might go see a movie, especially if it's like one of those Christmas time releases that are big blockbusters.
If there's a movie we want to see.
Right.
Yep. I'm with you. And yes, I crushed my mother on Mother's Day today.
Yes, you did.
Small World.
And Neil crushed all of us in the other one.
Yeah. My little brother kicked our butts in Mexican Train, but I won Small World. Just in case any of you were wondering, I won. Oh, hi, Aaron. It's nice to have you back. I know you were gone for a couple weeks, but good to have you back, sister. Yeah. Good for you, Newt. Good
yes.
on you, man.
Well, playing table games, it's a good way for you to be together and enjoy yourselves. And yes, Stephen, we all play Cutthroat, don't we, Stephen? Yeah, we all play to win. And I don't know if any of you guys ever play Munchkin. It's a strategic card game, but it's a lot of silly fun. But there is strategy to it, isn't there, Stephen?
For sure. You can part of the conceit of that game is that you're trying to screw over the other players, but you can do that too soon and then not have the ammo to stop it when it really needs to be stopped.
That's right. Well, the theme of Munchkin is kick open the door, slay the dragon or monster, slay the monster, stab your buddy in the
Yeah.
back.
Thank you, Mr. Roland.
Yes, thank you.
I agree. Mama Betsy is awesome. That's why I was only too happy to have her as a guest today, which never mind. I'll do it at the mid-roll. I'll talk about it at the mid-roll.
Okay.
People are talking about cribbage. I will take you on in cribbage. I will lose because I've never played and don't know how. So if you want somebody to beat up on, I guess I'm your guy.
Yeah, we've always played games. Even when y'all were little, we'd play Candyland, and then we'd play Old Maid. We'd play Crazy Eights.
Oh yeah, I remember. I remember all of that until I got to an age where I started playing D&D, and then I didn't want to play anything else, unfortunately.
Right, and that was okay when you were young, and it's perfectly all right. But when you were a teenager, you would have probably rather been shot than play a game with your mother.
Probably.
And I had a mother, and I was once a teenager, so I understood that my feelings weren't hurt, that I wasn't included in some of your things because you were wanting to do that with your peers. And hey, I knew you loved me, even though you didn't want me to play those games with you. But I also, certain games, we used to sometimes we'd play each other in video games like Tekken, and we'd do it in the round, and we'd take turns playing Crash Bandicoot and some other games. But I didn't grow up with a game console in my hand, so I'm pretty terrible at those games to the point it's comical.
It was fun to watch.
Yeah, well, I'd hold the controller and I'd be doing like this.
Yeah, as if like
as if the way I moved my arms was going to affect it. But
yeah, my favorite is I will always remember. It might be like one of the early times you were playing Mario Brothers, which would have been way back, like original Nintendo.
Like Nintendo, yes.
But I always remember you doing this. Like you'd hit the jump and then be like trying to carry him over. It was the coolest thing. Everybody's seen it before, but I love it. It's fantastic. You did ever get to be okay at Tekken eventually.
Yes, at least with what was his name? Oh, I'm drawing a blank. Jin.
Yeah.
Yeah, I figured out how to make Jin kick butt. But he was the only one. If I played something else, I was in trouble. Yeah, we did play spades and hearts. I don't know what pitch is, but
I don't either. I've played euchre, but I learned how to play euchre when I was in the Army, actually.
Right.
I don't remember
I don't know if we ever played with your kids, but we used to play pinochle.
Yeah, I've never played pinochle, so I don't really know.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, that's what I grew up in. I grew up with, when the family gets together, we should do something fun. We should enjoy being around each other. And then, most of y'all know that I'm a big D&D player. I still play to this day. Emilio, we'll get to that in just a second. And this was like, I came into D&D at the height of the satanic panic surrounding it. And you were always very level-headed and very like, you're not hurting anybody. You're like, you're at a house hanging out with friends.
Right.
Like you were not one of those, and you are very like, I'm going to use shorthand, religious person, but you didn't let that cloud your judgment on me playing that specific game.
Right. Well, I felt like whether it was video games. Now, there were some video games I wouldn't let you play when you were really young.
Right.
But I felt like it was better for you, not that I didn't want you to go outside and play too, but it was better for you to be in my house playing video games, although y'all were limited in time, how much time you could play video games. And or you'd have friends come over and spend the night and have like a slumber party, but you'd be playing D&D. And I'm like, as long as you're not taking it to some extreme level. I read a book one time about these kids that killed one of the kids' wealthy parents because they were so much into their D&D characters that they thought they were those characters.
Yeah, but
and I was telling you guys about it, and your eyes kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger as I told you the story. But then I said, but they were deep, deep, deep into psychedelic drugs, and y'all were like, oh. Yeah. So I'm like, I'm not worried about y'all because you don't do that. You're playing a game. You realize it's fantasy.
Yeah, it's
and
just
not
pretend.
Real, and you're just having fun.
It's playing pretend with a certain set of rules.
Right.
Kelly, that movie you're thinking of is called Mazes and Monsters, which is, yes, a Tom Hanks movie in which he plays a guy who plays too much D&D and goes insane.
Right.
JP says, Mom never found and destroyed my metal CD collection. That's JP, by the way. Juan Medrano?
Yes.
Okay.
Hey, Juan. JP
Yeah.
From work, right?
Well, we haven't worked together in a long time, but yes, that's
right. But that's how you met him.
Yes.
I lost my train of thought. Yeah, again, sometimes I wouldn't let you buy things that were not age appropriate. But once it was age appropriate, well, do you remember the time when you were around, you'd have been around 17, that we went to San Antonio for the weekend, and the rule was, I'm like, I know you're going to have a party because you're going to be home by yourself and you're 17 years old. So the rules are, blah, 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 blah. And I can't know for sure that you followed those rules. And that was during at least a somewhat rebellious time, which most kids go through. So, I got distracted because Stephen went away.
All right.
It's all right.
Yeah, I remember though. I'm sitting over here like grinning and nodding my head because you were
right.
Like, I know I'm not going to tell you to not have a party because I'm just setting yourself to get yourself in trouble.
That's right.
So
there was like no dancing on the baby grand piano.
Right. Don't destroy anything. Please clean up. Yeah. And I'm just going to hold this up here for just a hot second. I don't know if the camera's catching that very well, but yeah, Kat says she plays Magic the Gatherings with her friends still, and this is my commander for my commander deck. I love Magic the Gathering as well. Yeah, I'm a game nerd. Most of y'all know that I came to nerddom through D&D. Like that was my gateway. I knew about orcs as a thing to hit with, as a thing to kill for experience points long before I knew them from Tolkien's works.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I really didn't, I don't know that I've ever played D&D, but I have played Pathfinder.
You played Pathfinder with us.
Yes.
Which, I mean, it was what it was. I know that you didn't have the best time doing it, but and if you want, I'm gonna tee this up for you a little bit. You experience the world in a way that something like 99.5% of us do not. I'm teeing you up to talk about aphantasia.
Okay.
which I think was a limiting factor for your ability to really enjoy Dungeons and Dragons.
Could be. Let me tell the audience. Hey,
Yeah.
that's a good word.
It is. Well, that's they are.
Aphantasia is the inability to see something in your mind's eye. So, like when I close my eyes, I cannot visualize anything. All I see is dark. And it's a PH rather than an F, Stephen.
Okay.
But
there you go.
I cannot do one of those things where they lead you somewhere by you imagining you're in a field of daisies or something, and I'm like, this place is only dark for me when I close my eyes.
Right.
And I didn't know that everybody wasn't that way until I was in my 50s, because I didn't question it. I just assumed that visualize was just a term, because I can close my eyes and think about a field of daisies, but I don't see daisies. I know they're yellow and they have stems, etc., but that's just not there.
Yeah. Well, I remember when you first told me that, I'm like, wait, what?
Yes.
Really? How is this even possible? And yes, Wheezy, I think that's what he means, guided meditation.
Yes. Thank you, Wheezy. Yep. That's guided meditation doesn't work for me at all. Or, not if they want me to visualize something.
I'm sorry. Young Crone made me laugh with that one. I like it. I like it a lot. Thank you.
One of the neatest things I ever saw was at Epcot Center at Disney World in Orlando, and they had these fountains spewing water, and they used that water as a screen, and they showed Fantasia and some other animated things, and it just has this ripply effect. It's incredible. I've never seen that anywhere else, but I absolutely loved it.
Yeah.
And of course they had audio with it as well.
Yeah. Amy Lantrip says, she's finding it interesting that you talked about aphantasia, and she says she has synesthesia, which she thought was weird. And it is. I also experience some synesthesia. And I don't know if she explained what that is, but it's like when one sense can be interpreted as another. So like when I hear music, depending on what chord it is, like a major chord I will experience a visualization of colors while listening to music. And it's pretty weird. I mean, it doesn't hinder me at all. I actually think it kind of enhances my experience listening to music. But yeah. I get a little bit of I hear colors and temperature. Yeah.
Some herbal therapy.
There are people that can smell colors or taste sounds. And yeah, it's weird, but like it's also not overwhelming, at least not for me.
Right. Well, I won't say it's weird, but it's not the most common thing, which is what makes it different.
Right.
So not abnormal or anything. It's just different. That's how God made you. So
I see you, Amy. A is red. The note A is red, and I will die on that hill. See, for me, it's more about it's major chords are brighter colors, the reds, the oranges, and yellows, and minor chords tend towards the sort of greens and blues and purples, which is
Young Crone made me laugh.
Oh yeah.
You don't need psychedelics. And I've never taken a psychedelic. I don't know if I would see things or not.
Okay.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Padar asked, can you talk to yourself in your head?
Yes, I can. I can hear things in my head, but I can't see things in my head.
Yeah.
And it's unique. Even when I dream, I don't see words, but I think about things like when you're reading something. Again, I can't picture it, but I can consciously go somewhere in a dream. And if my dream becomes unpleasant, I can tell because I can't actually see anything that it's a dream, and I can make myself wake up. So consequently, I really do not have bad dreams, because if it starts turning down a bad road, I can wake up.
Right on. I wish I could do that.
Yeah.
I also like this 6-2 sounds. My friend JP says, "Can you stop talking to yourself in your head? Asking for asking for me." Yeah. And the answer to that, at least for myself, is no. The my internal monologue never stops monologuing.
Mine does if I'm consciously doing something else, like watching a TV show, reading a book,
Yeah.
something where
Your mind is engaged.
right. However, if you're an excellent typist, I'm going to bring this up. Uh, uh, Early on in my career, I was typing things off a dictaphone, which is where someone recorded something and you typed what they said. And I often could be like typing something and got to the end of it, and something interesting happened, and I would stop because I really didn't read what I typed. So I'd go back and read to find out what the background was for the thing that caught my interest, because I could totally disconnect reading from typing, which I think is why I could type so fast.
Right. So you would be looking at something or even hearing it and typing it, but not even really comprehending the words.
Correct.
So it went in your ear or your eye and came out your fingers without making a stop in the comprehension center.
Correct. So same thing with on a 10 key. I don't know exactly what my 10 key speed was, but I could burn down the house. And one time I worked for one of the vice presidents for Potomac Electric Power Company in DC, and my boss was out to lunch, and his boss came by, and I was doing something on a 10 key and didn't realize he was there. And when I finished, I looked up at him and I said, "Oh, can I help you?" And he goes, "Yes," wanted to know where Diccione was. And I said, "He's out to lunch." And he said, "You're just messing around there, aren't you?" And I'm like, "No, I'm actually adding this stuff up." So I was fast enough. He didn't think that I was really doing it. So, but I showed him and he kind of says, "Wow."
Yeah.
So,
yeah, I've had a similar experience a time or two. In my job there I do a lot of 10 key data entry. That's where I met JP 6-2 Sounds. By the way,
yes.
JP is a fantastic guitar player. He doesn't pop in all the time, but when he's here, I like to promote my buddy. Yeah. But he and I worked together for a couple of years doing the job that I still do. And he was maybe even faster than me. It's crazy how fast you can get when you can just turn your brain off and let your fingers move.
Yes. I don't do that on a musical instrument, but I can see how that would work.
Right. Well, I can't do it on a musical instrument either, but I can do it with the 10 key.
Right.
Yeah, so we're about an hour in now, so I'm going to do the mid roll, and if you need to take care of anything, Mom, you got about 3 or 4 minutes.
All right.
So yeah, I'm going to do the mid roll and talk about what's coming up. She was asking me earlier how to put something as a picture. I love that she's got Chewbacca there. It's fantastic. Anyway, yeah, mid-roll. First of all, everybody who's here, thanks for coming. I really do appreciate it. We've actually got, I see 28 concurrent right now, which is surprising to me a little bit. You know, it's Mother's Day. I thought maybe there wouldn't be as many people here. Also, my mom is not the superstar that some of in the fan community that some of my guests are. So I'm very thankful that all of you came to show support, not just for me, but for my mom, who I love deeply and I think is a great human being. Yeah. So I'm going to remember to shout out #1 patron in the land, Ridiculous Ed Tollett, aka Sean. He's been with us since the beginning. My man, you keep the lights on, you keep the StreamYard running without, and I appreciate that. I appreciate all our patrons, but #1 patron in the world has got to be Ridiculous Ed Tollett. What's coming up next on the channel? Next week we're going to be talking about The Expanse again, and we're going to be doing a character deep dive, this time on Martian Marine Gunnery Sergeant Roberta Draper. That's right. Bobby the Babe is going to be the topic next week, and we will be discussing everything we can think of to talk about this fascinating character from The Expanse. The week after that, we're doing a retro review again, and it will be Batman from 1989. And I love that movie. I think it's the first superhero movie I saw that I thought was okay. Superman from 1979 or 1978 maybe is good. Superman 2 is good, but Batman I thought reached another level. So yeah, next week, Batman 1989, the original Tim Burton, the first Tim Burton Batman, and we're also going to have a friend of mine who used to make some content and then went away for a while because he had some personal things going on, and then he's coming back, and that's John Bronstein. So Bronstein will be our guest for retro review, and somewhere in there, I'm going to be. I and Nessie will be guesting on John Webster Films channel so that we can talk about the movie Gladiator, the classic Russell Crowe movie, which I'm really looking forward to that as well. And Nessie, you've got something coming up soon too. I always want to shout out my co-hosts and what they've got coming up next. Oh yeah, Gladiator isn't this coming week, it's the week after, because this week John has got Ashea from History of Westeros coming on to talk about the Dark Crystal Age of Resistance. So yeah, if you are a Dark Crystal fan, John's going to have y'all hooked up. And I will be there in the chat, relentlessly trolling John nonstop. May 20th. With Sanri. Okay, there you go. Nessie is going to have all you need to know about dragons with the biggest dragon fan in the world, Sanrixian, on her channel, The Unspun Yarn. So make sure you go check that out. That's 10 days from today. And then at the end of the month, we'll have something a little bit different. I'm not really ready to reveal it yet. I need to talk with John and Nessie about it. But something a little bit different that I hope most of you here will really thoroughly enjoy. What else? What am I forgetting? Anyone? I can't think of what I'm not thinking of. So, Mom, you can come back in if you want.
That's fine. I just muted my mic so I wouldn't interrupt you. And I wanted to show y'all one of my nerdy things, which is I'm in the Red Hat Society, and this is my summer red hat. And I'm really into butterflies, which is why Stephen had a background of butterflies. But this is my summer red hat. The Red Hat Society is for older ladies who want to age with exuberance. So we dress up in red hats and purple shirts or dresses. It's based on a poem that says, "When I am old, I will wear a red hat with a purple dress that don't go together." So I'm showing off my red hat. One of them.
Yeah. That's very sweet, Amy. Yeah.
Well, and on your birthday, you do the opposite. You wear a purple hat
with a red dress.
With a red dress. So this is my birthday hat. And this is my winter red hat.
Keeps the rain off your head.
Yep. And this is my hat I wear when I walk the dogs.
Okay. Are we going to get a tour of your hat collection now?
And this is my patriotic holiday hat.
Leaf, I love that. Red Hot Ladies.
Yes, we are. We go out to lunch together and have fun, but we also do some other things that helps the community, or sometimes they even go on trips to do helpful things.
Yeah, I'm all for it.
So still a nerd. You have to be a little bit of a nerd to be in the Red Hat Society. And I'm wearing my favorite.
Oh, do you want to? Can you stand up just a little bit? Okay, I don't know if everybody can see, but from left to right, it's Ned Stark, Catelyn Stark, Jon Snow, Sansa Stark.
No, not Jon Snow.
Robb Stark.
Robb Stark.
Robb, Sansa, Arya, Bran, Rickon, Tony Stark, got Pepper Potts Stark, got Morgan Stark, and then like no John sticking his head in from the side. It's the best t-shirt in the world. That's not a Henrixian design like I'm wearing, but yeah, I love that shirt.
Yeah, my son Scott had one similar to it, but it stopped at Iron Man. And I found this one where it had the rest of Iron Man's family. And then there's little halos over the people who have died.
Yeah, like Ned and Catelyn all have halos over their head.
Well, Iron Man too.
Yeah. Padar, that came up, but like you have to understand that there's also a Floridian and a North Carolinian that I have to make agreements with. And if I'm being perfectly honest, we talked about Amos last month, and I don't want to talk about only men characters or only women characters. So we try to take it up. So we talked about Amos last month. We're going to talk about Bobby next week.
And Lady Leaf, for some reason I can't type into chat. I don't know. I may figure that out before I maybe guessed another time. But I got this through Amazon. I just went in there and searched for House Stark t-shirts, and I found this particular one.
John, buddy. I've got bad news for you, man.
Yeah, I think pretty much his head on a pike is kind of final. And an interesting fact about me is kind of odd. My first, Mitchell is my maiden name, which I went back to after my second divorce. But my first marriage, my last name was Stark. And then my second marriage, my last name was Bean, but it wasn't Sean.
Right. So
I just think that's kind of funny.
Yeah. I love that. I mean, I didn't put that together myself until you said something to me about it. But like, yeah, Sean Bean, Ned Stark, you married a Bean and a Stark.
Yes. So just kind of, hey, who knew? Like I could have kept the name Stark if I wanted to, even when I married the second time, but I didn't know later it would be a big deal.
Would have been cool.
Yeah, but I'm happy to be Ms. Mitchell.
Nice. Dan.
Yeah.
Bean.
Yeah, his name was James.
Yeah. Not Rowan Atkinson.
And yeah, I get the Mr. Bean reference.
Yeah.
But
Good stuff, man. So, y'all in the chat, if you've got questions for Mom, I mean, you've had questions all day, but if you've got questions, feel free to throw them out there. I'm going to ask you some other stuff. Okay.
yes, Aaron, James Bean.
Yes, that is correct. James Bean was my stepfather.
And he went by Jim most of the time.
Yeah, Jim Bean was my stepdad for most of my childhood. Into like, I don't know how old was I when y'all got divorced? 18 or 19? I want to say I was in the Army when it happened. But yeah.
You were. We were still together, but it wasn't too long after you came here one weekend, and I was going somewhere. I couldn't stay home. I don't remember exactly what, but I had left a key for you to get in, and my poor little dog, her name was Precious. She like, you had two friends with you, I think.
Three.
Okay, so here's all these strange men that come into her house. So she just wet the floor because oh my God.
It was really kind of funny because, we came in the door and she comes running to the door barking. And then, I mean, I don't have a large frame, but I am 6 feet tall. I'm not a small man, but the three other guys with me were all my size or larger. And here comes the little dog. And then she just like does this skid across the floor thing. And you see the line of pee trailing out behind her.
Oh, she just didn't know what to do. And
not that they were bad guys, but she didn't know who they were. And four large men just came in the house.
Even you were a stranger, I think. I don't think you'd ever met her either.
Maybe not, but I don't know. I came home. I was not stationed that far away from you, so I came home pretty regular. You
did. And what is OG Twilight Zone? Is that the
OG just means the old one. OG means original gangster, but
okay.
But when somebody's referring to the OG anything, it's like the original.
Okay. You can say, what is that thing they say? Hey,
I don't know where you're going.
Well, it'll come to me in a minute. You have to understand, I get senior moments. I graduated from high school in 1969, but then I went back to high school and was there for 10 years because I worked in a high school.
Yeah.
I really loved teenagers. They were my forte. And
I love them too, but I can't eat a whole one.
Right. But they're delicious with ketchup.
Yeah.
Or honey mustard. That's good too.
Yeah. Honey mustard teenager. Yeah. Mm. I'll send, if anybody wants my recipe, I'll send it to you. Just DM me on Twitter.
But yes, I did enjoy the old school Twilight Zone. In fact, that's the first time I ever remember seeing William Shatner. He was in a Twilight Zone called the Gremlin. Is it the Gremlins that mess up planes?
Yes.
Airplanes. Yeah. That's the first time I ever saw him in anything. I'm sure he did stuff before that, but it's not stuff that I watched.
Okay, well,
but I'm also and a lot of y'all might say yuck, but I'm a fan of the Vampire Twilight. I've read the books and seen the movies and was thoroughly entertained by both. So, and that's something that I could bond with my granddaughter over. So, hey, if you learn to love the things that the people you love, it doesn't have to be all of it. It doesn't have to be everything, but you can find some common ground. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Amy Lantrip says that episode's called Nightmare at 20,000 Feet.
Is that it?
Apparently,
knows,
Amy's a big fan of. She says it's her favorite too. Big fan of the OG.
right?
What's that show called? Twilight Zone. Yeah.
Right.
And I'm going to interrupt the flow of the conversation for just a second because I'm sure most of y'all know I keep my phone here so I can keep up with the chat pretty easily, and I can type and whatnot. But I got a notification that we just got a brand new patron.
Oh, yay.
So, in lieu of, and this person is going to get a weekly shout out because that's the level they pledged at. So, Ridiculous Ed Tollett, Sean, you are now joined by your brother in arms, JP Madrano.
Oh.
62 sounds. Thank you, buddy. I love you to death, man. And it's been too long since we've hung out. Once there's no disease threatening to kill us all, we gotta hang out and go get another burrito from that. Where was that place we went to get burritos last time? It was really, really good. Anyway, yeah. Thanks, man. I really appreciate it. Okay, let's get back to talking to Mom.
Bernie wants to hear an embarrassing Stephen moment.
Okay, we'll get to that. And I will give you permission to tell an embarrassing story about me. But yes, Nessie, thank you. That was something else I needed to bring up during the mid-roll. I have created a new Slack group. If you don't know what Slack is, it is a social media app, but you have to be invited to join a specific group. So we are going to have a Slack group that is just for Here Be Dragons, and probably going to have Nessie's stuff going on in there and going to have John's stuff going on in there. But think of it like a Twitter or a Facebook, but the only people that are allowed in are people that we allow in. So if you want to be a part of that Slack group, what I need you to do is send me a message. If you've got my phone number, you can text me. If we're friends on Facebook, you can send me Messenger. Twitter is the best way to get a hold of me. It is my social media of choice. But we are going to have a Slack group where people, if you're a fan and you want to talk to the other people that are always in the chat, well, you don't have to wait for Sunday necessarily. And it's also going to be a great place where I can talk about things that are coming up and bounce ideas off of y'all, and y'all can have more direct access to me, or Nessie or John. So yeah, if you want to join our Slack group, send me a message, and with your email address, because I have to add you through an email address. All right. Now, Mom, tell me an embarrassing story about myself.
Oh my goodness.
There's too many to.
Well, it's not really that. There really aren't that many. I guess the time that when you broke your arm.
Okay.
He was riding his bicycle around in the neighborhood, and I think you obeyed the limits of how far you could go, or did you stretch it?
No, I think I was. I mean, I can't remember the friend's name. I think it was Jason, but I could tell you like almost exactly where it happened. And I was probably allowed to go there, although I was like 12 at the time.
Right. Well, and the brake fell off of your handle and caused you to fall and break your arm. So we took you to the hospital, and they put your arm in this thing and hung it like this and deadened it so they could set it. And you were there pulling and bending on your fingers. And the doctor was like, "You're going to break your finger." You couldn't feel it. So you didn't realize that you were going to break your fingers.
Well, I still knew how far it could bend without breaking it,
Right?
Your own body. But I do remember that.
And this is kind of a story about you and your brother, Scott. The first time, he's 2 years older than you ish. And he called a girl on the phone and asked her to go to a middle school dance with him. And you, Stephen, after he hung up, you were like, I can't believe he did that. He just called her and asked her. I just can't believe he did that.
Yeah, but
I
that
just
is, I
go ahead.
believe that to be evidence of my social anxiety disorder.
Yes, I do. But you were just so floored by Scott's ability to do that because I don't have social anxiety. I just think all humans are friends I just haven't met yet. And I'm not going to be best friends with everybody because that's silly. You just can't. But I'm going to be friendly with everybody. But I thought of a really good one, Stephen. Stephen, I think he's told y'all this before. He was kind of a whiner when he was a kid.
I believe I said that last week when I was talking about identifying with Luke Skywalker.
Yes. And fortunately, you outgrew it. Thank you, God. But whenever the second Karate Kid movie came out, some of y'all may remember they let you go for free, like the very first day it opened. No matter what showing, it was free. Thank you. So anyway, it was my three boys and a couple of their friends from the neighborhood were all going to go see the Karate Kid. And of course, there was a line, and I got confused about which theater it was in. So we went to the wrong one first. Then we went to the right one, and we stood in line, and they stopped right when we got there, not taking any more people. And everybody else was like, oh, well. And Stephen was like, I can't believe it.
So it's not fair. Not fair.
We were the next ones.
Yeah, I think I would have handled it a lot better if we hadn't got up to the box office and they're like, sorry.
Yes.
But that was a developmental. I still remember that
Right
to this day. So
well, and what's sad is I had gone to the right movie in the first movie theater in the first place, we would have got in.
Yeah. I mean, maybe, but that's one of those things that's important to learn as a kid, that you just not always get your way. Sometimes, life is going to, you're going to be the one that gets cut off.
Right. Well, I think it's important for kids to learn how to be a good loser, but they also have to learn how to be a good winner.
Yeah.
And you can troll people that are really good friends and be joking around with them. As long as you're not hurting their feelings, it's funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could have done the crane kick.
Yeah, one of us should have.
Yeah. But we did get to see the Karate Kid. We just had to pay for it.
Yeah, and
we saw it. I mean, Karate Kid 2. We had to pay for it in the theater. But it was like the next day because we couldn't go back that particular day.
Speaking of, so Mom, you watched Cobra Kai on YouTube Premium, and so did I.
Yes, I did.
And it's not something I've talked about a lot, but just in general for the chat, Cobra Kai was an excellent TV show.
I agree.
I mean, you hear YouTube original and you're like, oh boy, but I'm telling you, it is extremely good. Extremely good. And Mom agrees with me, so it's not just
I do.
And you do not have to be a huge Karate Kid fan to enjoy Cobra Kai, although I think if you are a huge fan, it only adds to the experience because it does have William Zabka and Ralph Macchio both in prominent roles, but also people playing the next generation, their children, so to speak. And it's really, really good.
I see Courtney has a question about her 15-year-old daughter. And my advice is try as best you can not to take it personally. That not all kids, but most of them, for a while, you have an alien living in your house and you really can't do anything to please them. So you just have to be you and love them to the best of your ability, because sometimes they're very unlovable. Uh, I used to tell people with Stephen in his teens and early 20s, he had a list, everything your mother doesn't want you to do. And he had a checklist. Oh, I do this. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do this. Oh, let's do that again. Now, he never went to jail during that time.
During that time.
But um, he was very rebellious, and I had to do some tough love things with him to help him grow up, um, because I loved him enough to do tough love. It's the hardest thing I ever did. Some of those things that I had to um, draw the line in the sand, and I couldn't let you cross.
Yep.
But you probably were mad at me and thought that I didn't love you at the time. But in retrospect, you know that I loved you
Yeah.
very much. I loved you enough to be truthful and try to send you the right way.
Right. Well, look at the relationship we have now. Yeah,
Yes.
there is a certain amount of mother son that's never going to go away. There are times where she's like, "You need to do X, Y, Z," and I'm like rolling my eyes, "Yes, mother." But like 98% of the time, our engagements are more like, "Ooh, did you watch the show? What did you think? Oh, I saw this neat thing. Oh, we're just two adults sharing the things that are going on in our lives, like friends
Right.
do."
Well, and you're not there yet, Courtney, but the hardest thing that parents do is when they have to begin to let go of
Mhm.
their children as adults, and your relationship has to change at some point. You're not there yet because she's still your responsibility at 15, but there is a point where you have to let them make their choices, and they have to suffer the consequences of those choices, even though you're their mother and you can guide them, but they won't listen sometimes. One of my favorite sayings is, and I said it earlier today, mother is not a title, it's a job description.
Mhm.
And father is the same way if you're a good one.
Yeah.
So you never stop doing that mother job. You do have to change because you're dealing with an adult. And that's harder for the parent to change. And we've all had a mother where there's things where we go, oh, mom. So, because I had a mother, I had a very good mother, but there were times.
Yeah. I remember your mother. She's died quite some time ago now, 18 years ago almost. But
Yeah,
she was
no,
another like you have a lot of your mother in you, I think, and I think I have a lot of my mother in me. And I also tend to think that my children have more of me than their mother. And so hopefully like from her name was Marjorie, but she was my nanny. I think her influence is felt all the way down to my children's generation, and hopefully they pass it along too, because she was a fine woman.
um, I agree, and she was a good mother, but I was overly sheltered, I think,
Yeah.
and part of that's because at least through the 8th grade, I went to this tiny little school. It was They didn't have kindergarten in schools back then, so it was 1st grade through 12th grade. This building was elementary school. This building was junior high, and this building was high school. So you knew almost everybody that went to school there, no matter what grade they were in, plus their cousins and uh, their aunts or uncles or parents. So if you did something wrong, 3 people had called your mother before you got home. So it made you be somewhat sheltered, that you couldn't get away with stuff. But then we moved to Irving, where I think there was 1,000 kids in my freshman class. So I went from that little small school to a great big school, but being an extrovert like I am, I found my way very quickly and found a niche in that school.
Right. Well, you were pretty popular, were you not?
Well, I wouldn't say I was excessively popular, but I wasn't unpopular. And don't want to toot my own horn, but I never was bullied very much. The only time I was bullied was when some other girl liked my boyfriend, whichever boyfriend it was at that the flavor of the week or the month or whatever, because you know how that is in high school. But when you're an attractive girl, the boys don't pick on you unless it's because they like you, and
Right.
the picking on you is different because they like you.
Right.
So yeah, high school, all of school was not hard for me at all because I just, again, I'm an extrovert, so it wasn't difficult for me to fit in.
Yeah. Kelly is saying her mom was popular and never understood why high school was so hard for her. I get you. High school was very not easy for me too. Although I feel like you were more sympathetic, maybe than Kelly is making her mother out to be.
Well, I felt well, something that really opened my eyes. I only have one sister, so the boys that came to our house were either dating me or my sister for the most part. Now we did hang out sometimes as a group, boys and girls, but I didn't have the relationship like girls do when they have brothers. So when my sons reached that age, I was flabbergasted that boys went through that awkward stage where they really feel they don't fit in at all anywhere. Frustrating because you haven't found out who you are yet,
Right.
and
Yeah.
you're reaching around trying to find out who you are and where you do fit in. And some people just slide into it, and other people have to really work at it.
This
But
kid.
I was flabbergasted that boys went through that.
Yeah, I don't. It's not a teenage girl thing or a teenage boy thing. It's a teenage thing. I think in a lot.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So um, I look back on high school and college days with nostalgia. So, and you know, when you make good grades and you're helpful with people, um, even at that age, people respond to that.
Right. Totally.
Yep.
Newt, you're blowing your own horn, man. Although,
10 different schools.
but like, I see your handsome face over there in your picture, and I can believe it too. Vanessa, you hated high school too. Aren't you still in high school, Vanessa? I know you're not. You're like 22 or 23 or something like that, but you're so young compared to me. Yeah, I think you're about my oldest daughter's age, if I remember correctly. Anyway, um, but yeah, so
Well, I like school because I like learning. I really, um, I had a history teacher when I was a sophomore that made history come alive to me. And I just, I've enjoyed learning almost any subject since. I don't know if being as aphantasia is linked to my extrovert personality or not. It's just, even as a young person, everybody sometimes does something that they're a little bit made fun of or whatever. And I learned at a reasonably young age, maybe not as a teenager, but um, early 20s at the least, that um, we all stub our toes sometime. We all get teased sometime. And I shouldn't try to take it as criticism. I should take it as we're having fun together. So, as long as nobody's feelings get hurt, it is fun, to like Stephen likes to troll John all the time.
Oh yeah.
And that's a part of your friendship. And it's not meant to be critical. It's meant to have fun with him in a sarcastic way.
Yeah.
But
like,
yeah, I like to say I've always been about as friendly as a bulldozer. So I just here I come.
Yeah, but I mean, as has been evidenced, even while you're talking about this, trolling people is part of my personality. Of course, like I don't troll people all the time. I can actually be quite genuine when people need me to.
Yes.
Several people here in the chat will probably tell you that I've had conversations with them when they were having their difficult moments. They came to me because I'm a good listener, and it is what it is. But yes, I also am half troll. It's probably on my father's side, though.
Well, I worked with the youth group at our church, and I worked at the high school that most of those kids went to. And I more than once had one come to my office, and like one young lady, her boyfriend, who's now her husband, and they've been married since I have to think. What year did your sister get married? 97?
Oh gosh, hold on.
So no,
Right.
2007. 2007. Well, this young lady married in 2005, and she's still with her high school boyfriend. But he was a little bit older than she and was out of school, and he had a terrible car wreck. And she came crying and upset. And she didn't go to the school nurse. She didn't go to the school counselor. She came to Miss Betsy, and she shared what had happened, and we prayed together, and I helped her calm down. And I've had more than one kid come to me in something like that. And in school, even in a public school, if a kid asks for it, you can pray with them. You can't force them to pray with you, but if they ask for it, you definitely can, and express your love to them in that fashion. And fortunately, her boyfriend survived the wreck, was in the hospital a little bit, and had a cast on his leg, I believe, if I remember right. And again, he survived, and I had more than one kid come to me on September 11th, because they started showing that information about that on all the TVs. They had instructional TVs in all the classrooms, and they started showing that. And, kids were upset. I was upset. Everyone was upset. But I could be there for them as we all went through something significant. And I've had more than one of those kids, they're mostly in their 30s now, tell me that I was a significant person in their life at that time. So that was a blessing to me while I was trying to bless them.
Right. Well, and really, I think that is what makes it. Yes, it's a blessing for you and for them, and like that's what community really is. It's
Yes.
sometimes I'm having not a great day, and you're there to bring me up, and tomorrow our roles will be reversed, and like. So the people that I'm closest with, like I have very few friends that live nearby me. Very few. Most of my friends are in the online space, but they are people who, when they're upset, they talk to me, and when I'm upset, like I mean, I'm not going to discuss why. I talked to my mom about it, and I talked to my sort of group chat about it. I was kind of upset about something last night, and I had to vent, and I vented to my mom, and I also vented to my online friends, and I'm completely fine with it and over it now. Mm-hmm. But it's just nice to have that sort of give and take. Also,
right.
I mean, you've got to answer this. These are the big questions.
I would say enchiladas. One of my favorites is sour cream chicken enchiladas. Those are absolutely to die for, in my opinion, if you get them from the right place. So off the mainstream enchiladas.
Yeah. See, I went with tacos, but like there's no wrong answer when it comes to Mexican food, I think.
Right. Well, I know Eugene earlier said something about having a taco ring at my house,
Yeah.
which you make a
It's pretty good stuff, man.
yeah, you make a base with crescent rolls and fill it with taco stuff, and you can even put salsa in there or whatever you might add to a taco, not lettuce or anything that you wouldn't want cooked, and then you fold the uh, ends of the taco ring on there and bake it in the oven till it's cooked, and it's called the taco ring. It's really good, isn't it, Stephen?
And it's super good. I also saw Emilio brought up Greendale Community College a second ago. That's one of my favorite TV shows, and it's now on Netflix, by the way. If anybody hasn't watched Community, I know you haven't seen it, Mom. That should be up your alley, if I'm being honest.
Well, I've started watching it.
Oh, okay.
I'm only a few episodes in, but
the few episodes are good, but like the show doesn't get really good until later. But
I got you. You got to work your way through it.
And it's brand new on Netflix. Go watch it if you haven't. And guys, we're down to about 15 minutes left. So if you've got good questions for Mom, now is the time.
There's
questions.
I would like to say that I almost always have at least one show that I consider to be a guilty pleasure because it's maybe kind of hokey or whatnot. But my current guilty pleasure is Masked Singer.
Mm-hmm.
When it first started, I was like, I don't know, because I do like shows that have a lot of music in them. But I didn't know if I would like this, but I just love it. And now Stephen watches it, and I don't know if Neil does. I don't think Neil does, but it's very entertaining, and it's very surprising sometimes who the person is under the mask. It's just kind of neat. So, and another show, I don't know that it's necessarily a guilty pleasure, but it's Zoe's Extraordinary Playlist. That has a lot of music in it. So, again, if it's got a lot of music, I'm probably going to like it because I'm very eclectic with my music likes. And I just enjoy all of it, I guess. Maybe because I can hear well and can hear music in my head, it really speaks to me more than visual because of my aphantasia.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, you got me turned on the Masked Singer too. And yes, it is my guilty pleasure. And yes, like what was it? Wednesday or Thursday afternoon? No, it was like, Mom, have you watched the Masked Singer yet from last night? Because I want to talk about who got a person that got eliminated. Yeah. Which, I mean, y'all know me. Like, if it doesn't have a dragon or a wizard or a spaceship in it, or somebody with a flying around because they've got a cape on or whatever, that's the stuff I tend to watch. But I watch other stuff too, and yeah, the Masked Singer got me sucked in. Of course, I am a music lover, so that's a big part of it.
Well, and we have one fandom that hasn't been mentioned, and again, I'm not over the hill, over the mountain kind of fan, but I am a big fan, and that's of Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Mm-hmm. My dogs, my boy dog, who is 15, he still gets around very well and plays, and he's slower than he used to be, but he's still healthy. His name is Xander. His full name is Xander Harris Mitchell. And then my little girl dog, who's 7 years old, her name is Willow Grace Mitchell. And her middle name, Grace, comes from her lack of grace
Right.
because she's a clumsy little dog. I just love her, though. She's my scruffy little dog. And she has to sleep where she's touching me. It doesn't have to be like laying on me, but she wants to be touching me somewhere to sleep. But both of these dogs came from the pound. And Xander, when I got him, weighed 4 pounds, and it was skin and bones because he was found as a stray. And I was on spring break from school, and I brought Xander home, and they told me to feed him like you did an infant, like get up every 3 hours and feeding really soft stuff and whatnot. And I could do that because I was on spring break, didn't have to work. And I took him straight from the pound to a vet and had him check him out. He told me what to do, gave him some shots of antibiotics and whatnot, just in case he had gotten into something while he was loose. And I took him back the next week to see how he's doing, and he weighed 6 pounds. So I want you to think of gaining half your weight in a week, and he needed it. He really did. But the vet and his assistant were like, "Is this the same dog?" And I'm like, "Yes, that's Xander."
Yeah, somebody, I can't remember who, said, "What dog is that that's behind you, laying on the pillow right behind you?" That's Xander.
Yes,
that's the 15-year-old dog, and he is maybe the best dog God ever created. He is like, he doesn't bark his full head off like certain dogs that I know. But like he's chill, he's loving, he's laid back. I'm also going to, I'm coming. Okay. I just want to get a better look at the pupper there.
Well, that pillow is Xander's pillow.
Yeah.
Every now and then Willow will sleep on it. She's probably in the dog bed on the floor over here. Yeah. That's where she's resting right now.
Under your desk?
It's under my printer.
Yeah. But yeah, you're getting a lot of love for Buffy in the chat. And Mom turned me on to Buffy. And when she was like, I have to watch Buffy, I was like, roll my eyes. Fine. I won't interrupt your Buffy the Vampire Slayer. And then I watched one and I'm like, wait a minute. This is really good. And both of those ladies are cute. And that doesn't hurt either. Most of y'all know I have a well-documented weakness for redheads. So, like Willow Rosenberg she slotted right in.
My favorite character in answer to a favorite Buffy moment that I'm going to tell you about, my favorite character is Anya, because she's having to learn what it is to be a human being. And the actress who played her made that so believable and real, and you felt for her because she didn't understand what was going on. But my favorite Buffy moment is when Xander is looking for something in Buffy's purse, and he pulls out holy water and a cross and a stake, and he pulls out a tampon, and he goes, "Ooh." I think that's probably my favorite Buffy moment. And yes, I watched all of Angel. I don't have all the DVDs of Angel, but I have watched all of it. I did enjoy Angel very much. I'm not as big a fan of Angel as I was of Buffy, but I did like Angel very much.
Yeah, I did too. My problem with Angel, so like I watched Angel as it was airing live, like while Buffy was airing live, and I enjoyed it, but I fell off of Angel in the 4th season, which would have been Buffy's 7th season, the final season of Buffy. And the 4th season of Angel, I mean, I'm not trying to crap on anybody's enjoyment of whatever they like, but to me was like the weakest season of that show. Now, season 5 came back with a vengeance, really strong, really good. But like
Mm-mm.
Yeah. I did not enjoy season 4 of Angel, and it took me a long time to come back. I missed it. Yeah. We're all quoting from the greatest episode.
Yes.
I don't know if it's the greatest, but like it's my favorite.
Well, Once More with Feeling is my favorite episode, but my second favorite is Hush. Joss Whedon, people were saying he was so good with his dialogue, and he is. But in answer to that, he did an episode with almost no dialogue, and it was incredible. And yes, I like Spike too. Spike was one character who really changed and grew as a character throughout Buffy to the point that he was a hero. So,
yeah, I mean, I agree. I think Spike is the best character Joss Whedon ever invented.
well, and I bought all the DVDs of the show as they came out each season, and have watched them. I can't tell you how many times I watched them since then. Of course, nowadays I don't know if you can stream it anywhere right now, but I bet you
can. But it's only the HD remaster, which is a travesty, and I'll tell you why later.
Okay. Well,
it's terrible. It's terrible. Do not stream it. Find a hard copy somewhere and watch that.
Well, I still have all my hard copies, so because I also have hard copies of Lost. I was a Lostie. Not again. I'm not in any fandom to the extreme. Other than my fandom for Jesus Christ, so I don't want to proselytize, but I'm just saying that's
right.
You can't know me without me saying I love Jesus, and that's
part of who you are.
Part of who I am. And a little bit back to Buffy, I was in a Sunday school class, and probably 80%, 90% of the people in that class watched and loved Buffy. So we were the unashamed Christian Buffy lovers. So, you know.
Leaf asked, why didn't Joss use James Marston? I don't know, because I think he's fantastic. But maybe he was just fantastic in that role. Because I've seen him in other things, like he played Brainiac in Smallville, and was it Brainiac that he played in Smallville? I think so. He played something in Smallville.
And he's been in the Hawaii Five-0 reboot. I'm trying to think if I've seen him anywhere else, but
yeah, but like the weird thing is, everything else I see him in, he doesn't have his British accent, and I'm just like, no, it's not. I mean, I know he's an American, but I came to know him as having that English accent, which he does really, really well, as far as I can tell. You'd have to ask somebody from England if he's nailing it, but I thought it was pretty good.
Right.
But yeah. Oh, so and Amy Landstrip, she's really got a lot of stuff that she loves. Brings up Zuko as being a great character, similar to Spike, maybe. And I kind of agree with you. And that was a show that I brought to you. Usually it's the other way around, where you're like, you should watch this, and I'll watch it, and I'm like, oh, that was good.
Yes, but, you brought me to Avatar,
which my own children brought that to me, and then I passed it along to you. And yeah, it's another great show. Which, by the way, if you haven't seen Avatar: The Last Airbender, it is also going to be on Netflix in 5 days. On the 15th, the entire series will be on Netflix. And if you haven't seen it, you should. It is, in this man's opinion, the greatest work of animated storytelling ever made. Okay? So
well, and it's something you can watch with kids. It's family friendly. There's probably some things that go over kids' heads, which is very common in cartoons. But there's nothing so ridiculous that you would not let your children watch it, because it came out on Nickelodeon. But it's also very entertaining and very good story for adults.
Yeah, most people, when you think of cartoon, you think of some very episodic storytelling. You don't have to watch them in, you can watch Bugs Bunny cartoons in any order because they're all self-contained stories. The same thing with like pretty much almost any cartoon show made with children as its core audience. But Avatar is telling a single narrative over the course of all of its episodes, and it is incredibly good.
And to me personally, Dark Crystal is much more aimed at children, whereas Avatar: The Last Airbender is aimed at family.
Yes, and like, yeah, you'll think you know what's coming next, and it's not. It's not what you expect. It's literally as good as it is in one of my top 5 television shows of all time. Just like of all time. Community's in there, Game of Thrones, The Expanse, Avatar. I don't know what the 5th one is, but if I'm going to put it up there with Game of Thrones and The Expanse, it's got to be good.
I'm laughing at Piedar. There's a hole in the wall in a flat. In Dublin, it keeps moving up from the finale of Lost. Yeah, I'm not a hater, but I was not satisfied with the ending of Lost. But it is what it is. I have to accept it and move on.
Yeah, one of the things, Community makes a lot of Lost references, and it's actually really good stuff.
Yes.
Yeah. And Mandy, thank you so much. It's very sweet of you to say. I agree. Mom is great. My mom is awesome. What can I say? Well, you know what though? It's 7 o'clock, y'all. We've been going for 2 hours. So this is your last chance to ask Mom any questions that you just have to have the answer to. But I'll give the chat a chance to catch up and ask whatever. But I will say, yeah. So coming up this week on Thursday, John Webster Film has Dark Crystal: Age of Resistance, which is a Netflix television show that he will be discussing with Ashea from History of Westeros, who is a lovely human being. She's the best. Just ask me. I'll tell you.
Yeah, she spent the night here. She and Aziz.
Yeah.
For the conference here in Dallas.
Yep. They stayed at it was our guest room. My brother lives in there now.
Right, but he wasn't living here at the time.
Yeah. And then next Sunday, we've got The Expanse, character study on Bobby Draper, which I'm excited about. The week after that,
Bobby,
on I think the 20th, Nessie has Sanrixian on to talk about dragons. The 21st, Nessie and I will be on John's channel to talk about Russell Crowe movie The Gladiator. And then after that, the Sunday after that, which should be the 24th, I believe, is retro review of Batman from 1989. And I'm going to have Bronte here for that one. And I'm psyched to have Bronte. I don't know how many of you know him or not, but like when I met John, I thought he was Bronte's cousin or, some sort of clone of him. He's a great guy. So I see you, Danny. I've been pulling for Galaxy Quest for a minute, and we'll get to it. I promise we will.
Yeah, I love that movie too. It's hilarious.
So yeah, that's what's coming. And now I'm gonna scroll through here and see if anybody had any questions for you. I don't know. People have been shooting them in all afternoon, so I don't see anything. So yeah, I guess that's it. So yeah, everybody who's here, we've had 25 to 30 people all afternoon. Can't thank you guys enough. Thanks for coming and hanging out with me and my mom on Mother's Day. I hope that you are able to spend some time, even if it's remotely, with your own mom today, give her a hug, or at least a virtual hug, if you can. And if not, if I mean, I hope that you can. Man, I'm stumbling over my words now. I need a cigarette, guys. I love you. I'll see you next week. Thanks everybody for coming, and I guess that's it. Mom, got anything you want to say?
I just want to say I love you guys, and I'm one of those people that I'm like Stephen. If you need a sympathetic ear, contact me. If you need to get my phone number from Stephen, please do so. Text me first and say this is so and so I know who it is, because I don't necessarily answer if I don't know the number. But I'm always happy to help people.
And she is on Twitter as well, and her Twitter handle is in the description. Granted, 0971, but there's a link to take you straight to her down in the description. And she's a wonderful lady, and she will answer you. So yeah. So, Mom, margarita or mint julep?
Margarita.
Yeah. We're texting. We're
margarita
texting
on the rocks
every time.
Yep, the frozen ones are good too, but and yes, I would go on Outlander stream with John. I've read all the books. I haven't seen all the show yet because I have to wait for it to come out on Netflix, because as we know, you can't have every streaming platform that exists. It gets expensive. But I loved the books, and I tried to get Stephen to read it because I think it's that good, but It's also a huge commitment because they're very big books, like Game of Thrones books. So,
right. Okay. Well, I think that's it then, y'all. And for everyone who came, thank you very much. I hope to see you all next week. Mom, thanks for doing this. This is a lot of fun. One thing I forgot to mention, and I said I was going to talk about it during the mid-roll, and I didn't.
Well, shame on you.
The original plan was to have Pat Spunogle as my guest this week. At some point, we realized, oh, that's Mother's Day. And he's like, I've got a wife and a kid, which means that there's a mother that lives at my house. And I was like, that's fine. This gives me the opportunity to have my mom on, which we've been looking for the right way to get you on. So I just want to say, if you were looking forward to me having Pat Spunogle, he will be, in theory, the next guest on I Know That Nerd, which will probably be in another few weeks. Okay. So.
Happy Mother's Day to everybody.
Happy Mother's Day.
And also to any fathers who have to be mothers as well. Yeah,
because there are some out there that do.
There are.
So yeah, happy Mother's Day to all the mothers, to my mother. I'll even say happy Mother's Day to the mother of my kids, even though I don't like either one of those ladies very much. That's fine. I can still wish them a happy Mother's Day. I don't have grudge. I just don't like them. Anyway, that having been said, y'all, you know what it is. Peace and be excellent to each other.